All right, if you will, I apologize for being a couple minutes late, but if you'll join me in prayer and then also stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Father God, I thank you for this day, for the sunshine and what it brings. Lord, I thank you for the people who are here that continue to serve this city every single day. Lord, we ask for your wisdom and we ask for your guidance. We ask for your compassion. And all these things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do we have anyone that signed up to speak?
No, sir.
Okay, seeing none, we're going to move into our action items. We have a presentation of the fiscal year 25 audit.
Yes, we have Mr. Jimmy Job from Job Hastings and Associates here today to present the FY25 audit report. I'm going to turn it over to Jimmy. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. I understand since this is a workshop, I've got about 2 hours to go through. So, no, I go through pretty briefly here, but I would like to acknowledge Aaron and Amanda and all the staff. They've been great as usual in helping us, and you probably don't know unless you're there, but it's not just a matter of coming in for a week and leaving. It's months of being in their business, so we do appreciate all the help that they give us. The report is available on the website, I believe now, and it's been submitted to the state, so we're in full compliance with everything. Just going to go through some highlights, but there's a tab there. You should have a report there. There's a tab, the introductory section. The last page in that section, it's Roman numeral 7. That's the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. This is rewarded for last year's report. We've submitted it for the current year, but just to understand what that is, there's a national organization called the Government Finance Officers Association. They have a panel who goes through these reports in detail, and what they're trying to establish is that the city has held the highest national standards of disclosure and transparency in their report, and this report meets those standards. And it's the 27th year, I believe, in a row that award's been given. So you're among the highest in the nation as far as transparency and reporting. The next tab is the Independent Auditor's Report. That's a wordy report that just says that everything is good. It's a clean opinion, so there's no issues reported in that opinion. If you'll turn back behind Management's Discussion and Analysis tab, this is about a 20-page report on the highlights for the year, as far as financial highlights, an overview of the financial statements, and just a general discussion of what's going on in the city financially. That would be a good place for anybody who's interested but doesn't want to read the whole 250 pages here to just get a summary of what's going on in the city. Flipping over to the tab that says Government-Wide Financial Statements. In a government, there are actually two presentations that are required. One is called the Government-Wide, and what that means, that's more of a long-term view of the city's financial position. It includes all the assets of the city, including infrastructure, city school buildings, all the equipment. It also includes all the liabilities, which would include long-term debts and bonds. So just to point out, this is page 22. At the end of June of 25, the total net position, which means assets less liabilities, the total net position was $1.4 billion, with a B, dollars at the end of the year. So what that says is that the city is well prepared for the long term. It's in a stable financial position. On page 23, under the same type of government-wide presentation, this shows the departments or the functions of the city, and it starts out in the first column with the expenses of that department, and then there's a listing or revenues that are like fees that are charged in that department. And for instance, if you look at police, the total expenses for the year were $72.5 million. There were fees collected for various things of $463,000. We had some grants of $1.9 million. And then as you go across, there's a under government activities column that says $69,259. That's the amount of cost that's supported by general tax revenues and other sources. So each segment has that type of disclosure there. And the other presentation that a city does is more on a budget year presentation, and that would just includes assets that are available for next year's budget and liabilities that are going to be paid pretty soon during the year with the budget. So it's more of a current look at how the city's doing. And if you look on page 24, the balance sheet there, what's important to point out is under the general fund column, you go down to fund balances, which is again the assets, the current assets, cash and investments and short-term assets over the amount over the liabilities, the amount available for the coming budget. And if you look at the bottom of that page, fund balances unassigned, in the general fund there's $121 million in unassigned fund balance. And what that means is that that much is available for the coming budget. And another way to look at that is it represents about 9 months of expenditures of the whole city. So, in other words, all revenue could stop, and for 9 months the city could continue to operate. So that's a pretty strong statement as well as far as the city's financial well-being.
Is that including the payroll for the employees and everything? The 9
It
months?
includes, yes, ma'am, everything the city has, 9 months of those expenses could be covered just by, if everything stopped. So
Much better on that, because I think the last report was showing 6 months.
you may be right, yeah.
That's excellent.
It's a strong position.
Yeah.
Over on page 26, this shows the revenues and expenses for the year. And there you can see the general fund in the first column there had $267 million in revenues for the year, $203 million in expenses for the year. One thing to point out here that this shows the major funds of the city, which would include the general fund, the general purpose school fund, the debt service. A new fund that's been added to this presentation is the Murfreesboro Community Investment Trust. So you'll see that in the column there, and that's presented there. And then all the other funds are combined into one column. Over on page 28, a couple of pages over there, the general fund is presented in detail, and this goes for several pages. It compares the budget for the year to the actual expenditures and revenues. And back behind, there's a column called, a tab called Notes to Financial Statements. There are about 50 pages or 60 pages of footnotes describing all the accounting policies of the city, describing the retirement plans for the employees, tells all about the debt and bonds in detail. There's a lot of information in those pages. Now, back near the end, there's a statistical section. This section gives a lot of information over the last 10 years, and it's a good way to show how the city has progressed and grown. If you'll look at page 168, for instance, looking at sales tax there in the second column, in 2016, there was total sales tax collected of $41 million. In this last fiscal year, 2025, that number had risen to $73.8 million. So that's an indication of how the city has grown. And one more item, the single audit section, the last tab there. This is a listing of all the federal and state grants that were received by the city. You can tell which department, federal department or state department those funds came from and how much they were for the year. For instance, total federal awards are $18.5 million for the year, and total state awards were $7.4 million. Does not include the city schools, but it's general city grants. And as part of our audit, we're required to audit those federal grants. There are certain compliance requirements that go along with each type of grant, and that's a part of our audit is making sure that those compliance issues are complied with, and that the city has complied with those. And we give reports on those as well. Okay, I've gotten through in less than the time I said, so anybody has any questions?
No, I just want to thank you for the excellent job you do every year. It's because of you and your staff that we get that certificate every year. So you do a fabulous job, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. And I will mention that Suzanne Vandiver, who's part of our staff, has been on this audit for many years. She just retired from our firm after 42 years with our firm, so we're going to miss her. But Molly Patricus is very capable, been on the audit many years too, and she's going to continue. So,
How many years have you been on?
I came, my dad started the firm, but I came about, I've been there 40.
I figured it would be close to that. I think thank y'all for your hard work. It's interesting to see every year where our sales tax revenue and our property tax revenue is in relation to the overall budget. Last year, we were 44%. 45% of our overall revenue was sales tax. 44% was property tax. This year, it stayed 44% property tax, and we went up to 46% for sales tax. So we're still trending to where we're collecting more in sales tax than we are in property tax, which I don't think it's necessarily because that people are buying more. I think things are way more expensive than they have been, so we're really buying less, but things are costing a whole lot more. But it really goes to show, like looking at 2022, our total property tax collection was $66 million. We're at 71 million this year, so there's not a huge difference in what we're seeing in property tax. All right, any questions? Great job. Thanks to our entire finance team, and thank y'all for you guys for working so hard on that.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. And for the resident who, I'm sure the 11 viewers that we've got that are watching right now, this information is on the website. You can click on our website, get all of the audited financial information of the entire city.
Do we need a motion to receive this?
I don't think so, just a report. Yep.
I don't believe it's an action.
All right, let's move to updated financial policies. Aaron.
Thank you. At the October council retreat, I presented our proposed updated policies, which were last updated in 2016. We use these to help us guide internal controls and overall best practices. Since the last update, we've seen a lot of software changes and as well as staffing and just structural changes to the finance and purchasing departments. So these new policies include the Community Investment Trust, target fund balance recommendations for airport, risk management and insurance fund, and we've incorporated the purchasing policies in here instead of leaving as a standalone document. I'm happy to answer any questions and recommend for approval. I will say these policies do reflect our current and best practices.
Any questions for Aaron?
So moved.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Gales Harris?
She went to the restroom.
I'm sorry. Vice Mayor Shacklet?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye. All right, let's move to item 3, ordinance 26008, amending Chapter 32 of the Murfreesboro City Code. This is second and final reading. Any questions?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Shacklet?
Aye.
Mr. Wade? Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye. Item 4, ordinance 260Z03, zoning for property along Majesty Drive and Cicero Drive. This is second and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Shacklet?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye. Ordinance 260Z05, rezoning property along Chafin Place. This is second and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Shacklet? Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye. Ordinance 26006, amending the sign ordinance, large flag signs. This is second and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Shacklet?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye. Ordinance 26007, amending the zoning ordinance lot coverage. This is second and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Shacklet? Mr. Wade? Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye. All right. Item 8, mandatory referral for the abandonment of a portion of Airport Road right-of-way.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor McFarland and members of the City Council. Let's see, there we go. So our airport has submitted a mandatory referral request to us to abandon a very small portion of Airport Road right-of-way. It's the area in the blue color. Of course, how it's overlaid with the aerial photography isn't survey accurate, so that may not represent precisely where it is with regards to the physical improvements out there. But Mr. Gerke submitted this request for the construction of a sign for the airport. You see the area here is a finger of the airport property, and it was intended that the sign be located on that finger. However, there, I believe, is some stormwater infrastructure that is getting in the way of the original sign location. And so the request has been made to abandon this right-of-way and to put the sign in this location that's currently right-of-way. Planning Commission conducted a public hearing on this matter and recommended its approval to City Council subject to the following conditions. The abandonment of the subject right-of-way shall be finalized via the recording of a quitclaim deed. The quitclaim deed shall be subject to the final review and approval of the City Legal Department and shall quitclaim the abandoned right-of-way to become a part of the adjacent airport parcel. And 2, a public utility easement as needed shall be retained to accommodate existing utility infrastructure. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions?
No questions. Move for approval.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Gales Harris?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, Mr. Plumley. All right, we're going to,
Excuse me, you did a fabulous job at the town hall meeting
Oh, thank you.
Tuesday. You did a great job, and took a lot of stress off of me, too.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Scales Harris. I appreciate
You
that.
did fabulous.
Thank you.
All right, we now have professional services agreement for Scales Elementary roof restoration. Mr. Hennessy.
Hello, Mayor, Council. Have for your consideration a professional services agreement with Johnson & Bailey Architects for the roof restoration project at Scales Elementary School. This project will repair damaged areas and coat the existing roof that was installed in 2005 with a fully reinforced liquid applied membrane to extend the service life of the existing roof by up to another 20 years. Construction costs for this project are expected to be in the range of $900,000 to $1.2 million, and that's compared to a traditional tear-off and replacement cost range of $1.8 to $2.2 million. The expense, $55,000, is funded by the Murfreesboro City Schools fiscal year 26 CIP and is covered by the previously approved reimbursement resolution 25R24. This was approved by the Murfreesboro City School Board on Tuesday of this week. I recommend approval and happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Would it be a conflict if I made the motion?
No.
I'd like to make a motion that we pass that.
Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, amendment to professional service agreement for Bradley Academy ceiling renovations. Ms. Hennessy.
This time, have an amendment to the professional services agreement with Johnson & Bailey for ceiling renovations at Bradley Academy. In March 2025, the city entered into an agreement with Johnson & Bailey for the professional services for this project in the amount of $60,000. The bid cycle in 2025 resulted in no bids. It's desired to rebid the project now with construction to be performed over this year's summer break. The services provided in this amendment are to coordinate with city purchasing, update drawings, and the reissuance of bid documents. The expense, $2,430, is funded by shared proceeds from county facility bonds. This was also approved Tuesday by the City School Board, and I'm happy to answer any questions on this one.
Any questions for Mr. Hennessy?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Gels Harris. Vice Mayor Shacklet. Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, let's move to item 11, the master services agreement for low voltage cabling service.
Hello, Mayor and Council. IT is requesting approval to extend the master service agreement with LandLink Communications for low-voltage cabling services. This allows us to continue using a competitively selected vendor to support cabling needs across city projects. The agreement has no direct cost, as services are funded through individual project budgets as needed. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade. Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, we'll move to item 12, the interim city attorney recommendation. Mr. Gore.
Council, Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to speak on this issue. We're asking you to consider appointing Mrs. Kelly Baker as the interim city attorney starting February 18th, as Adam Tucker's last day is Tuesday, February 17th. Ms. Baker has agreed to take this role on, and we're recommending that she receive a 10% pay increase during her time in this role. I'm available for questions if you have any.
Proud to see a female. I move for approval.
Second.
See, I don't think we could find anyone better. All right. We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll, and that is with a increased compensation.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet. Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, we'll move to workshop items. You have the Tennessee State Soccer Association land lease discussion, and the large flag man himself, Nate Williams.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. In April of 2019, we entered into an agreement with the Tennessee State Soccer Association to relocate their headquarters to Murfreesboro. As part of the agreement, we committed to construct an office space at Richard Siegel Soccer Complex that would in turn be leased to the city of Murfreesboro. Due to increased construction costs and other elements, that project was paused. We never built that building, and we have no imminent plans to restart and build the building. In November, we received a letter from TSSA requesting that the city consider providing a land lease at Richard Siegel Soccer Complex for them to construct office space. As part of their proposal, they've committed to incorporate 2 much-needed office spaces for Parks and Recreation facility operations staff. For more context, I'm going to turn it over to Hans Hobson. Hans has been a great partner with us over the past 5 years, and he's the CEO of Tennessee State Soccer Association.
Hans, great to see you.
Great to see you. Thank you guys for giving us some time here. We've been here in Murfreesboro. We're about a mile down the road, right behind the Kroger. Our office is located there right now, but we love the relationship with the city. We love bringing events to the city. Hopefully you guys do too, from MLS events to our state cup. This is the center of Tennessee, and so we want this to be soccer central, and we would love to be able to build some permanent space right there at Richard Siegel if you guys are willing to chat through that with us and what that might look like. But I'm happy to answer any questions if you guys have any.
The partnership's been great. I mean, I remember when we went, it was December 1st that we went maybe 8 years ago and went through the process where y'all selected Murfreesboro, and I think it's been a great partnership.
What is the term of the lease?
We would get into that, Vice Mayor. We don't have any of the details. In your packet, I showed just the area. In that area, we don't have the square footage, but it just shows the area that we were going to build the office space. So we're here just for discussion. We would bring the details back, but we wanted to just get it in front of you to see if you had any comments, concerns about us moving forward with an actual agreement for a land lease that would spell out all of the details. That would give Hans and Leanna Wright's here as well. She's their board president, so we would get more into the details of that and bring it to you for approval at that point. But I echo Hans's sentiment that this has been more beneficial to the city than we could have ever imagined with this relationship with TSSA, and that we believe this could really help take us to the next level.
Anyone have any questions or concerns in giving staff the ability to move forward with the discussions and at least that would have to come back to council to vote on any type of land lease, but
Do we need a motion to do that, or is it just
I think so.
assent?
Just
I'm not sure how much time it would take. We would work with our legal staff and come back with some type of proposal with very exact details with the agreement with Tennessee State Soccer at that
That's
point.
great.
I think you've gotten your response. Thank you for coming. Leanne, thank you. All right, let's move to item 14, the annual report for the 2025 sanitary sewer allocation. Ms. Smith.
Good afternoon, everyone. You probably feel like you just saw me, which you did in August, on the same thing, but it was for 2024. So I'll get started with 2025, and we tried to get back on schedule, presenting this at the beginning of the year instead of later in the year. So that's why I'm back, and I'll try and move through this fairly quickly. So as an executive summary, our sewer system remains strong in operational condition. Our ongoing sewer rehab program continues to deliver good results, allowing us to reclaim capacity. We are creating new connections by funding collection system and plant upgrades, which are getting more expensive as time goes. We only have 16 properties out of all of the cities that has secured sewer capacity by paying in 10% of their sewer connection fees. The WRF can accommodate projected flows given the planned upgrades to the facility. And since we've met certain discharge limits to the West Fork Stones River, in the future it may become challenging, but we are pursuing expanded permit limits. And we do have keep in mind that this presentation is based on the capacity at each of our flow monitor locations, which is at our largest lines. And we do have some localized hotspots or sewer capacity constraints in some areas, and I'll show you those here with the report. This graphic shows that we are gaining back or reducing our infiltration and inflow during, at the plant, and the amount of money that we have spent on sewer rehab dollars, which is approximately $33 million since 2008. But it is good showing that we are reducing our I&I with the money that we're spending. I'm going to review some of the basics just to kind of give you an overview and the effects of rain on our system. So we have our assets outside the fence, which are our sewer pump stations, pipes, and manholes. And we'll call that the bucket, and or the pipes flowing into the bucket. And our bucket is our WRF, wastewater resource recovery facility, and we'll call that inside the fence. We have a separate sewer system, which means that our sewer from our homes flows into a different system than our stormwater, which is collected by our roof drains and the stormwater catch basins in the road. Our sewer pipes flow to the sewage treatment plant, but stormwater goes into the river. And our treatment facility, it is expandable, and in our case, provided we get a permit from TDEC for that expansion. In 2017, that expansion was planned at around $40 million, but our next expansion with the new permit requirements, if we are approved by TDEC, we are at approximately $120 million. You can see how the red line and the green line, that red line shows our kind of an average of our winter flows, whereas the green line is kind of an average of our summer flows into our WRF. The model that we've done and that Darren put together, several years ago now, shows that there's a seasonal variation as far as infiltration and inflow into the system. This model also shows that what the gallons per day per new connection would be, and as you can see there on the right-hand side of the screen, we are reduced from 2021 through 2023 and are approximately equal to last year's 2024 flows as far as gallons per day per new connection. We are about right at 81,000 current sewer connections, which is 67% residential and 33% approximately apartment connections. Again, this is another graph that shows the more that it rains, which is on that x-axis, the higher our flows are at the WRF. And you can tell the summer, the effects at the WRF in the summer are less than the effects on I&I at the WRF in the winter. We'll go through and review our as-is condition compared to our 2B, and the 2B is the improvements that we have planned for the system. This doesn't show all of them, just kind of the high-level ones and the most important. We'll also review number of sewer connections and funding necessary for those increased connections. Right now, all of our sewer flow goes through 3 pump stations before it gets to our WRF. Overall Creek, there's a main pump station at the WRF, and then the Southwest Regional Pump Station, which is kind of just south of Old Fort Parkway. This is kind of just another way of showing we have 18 flow monitors, and the circles and the numbers are where those the numbers of the flow monitors and which pump stations they flow to before they get to the WRF. Our as-is model, well, got that all backwards. The available sewer connections per the model is 96,000. We have approximately 5,800 approved sewer connections, and those are plans that have been approved by planning. And then, so our total remaining as-is sewer connections prior to improvements is about 85,000. And again, our as-is model, you can kind of see on the graphic Green is good. It's where we've got anywhere from 3,000 or more available sewer connections in each of those basins. The only one that I'll point out to you really is Basin 12A and 14, and that, go to the next. That's where we have less than, on an as-is condition, less than 1,500 connections remaining in those basins. And this kind of shows you that those two basins are in the lower right-hand corner. It's out Joby Jackson Parkway and the Buchanan area. And we do have improvements to those. As far as the 2B, it's the same except for with Cherry Lane, we will be adding 3 pump stations along that corridor. So there will be 6 stations going to the wharf instead of just the 3. Cherry Lane will go straight to the wharf. It won't be going through any of our other basins, which is a good thing. We have planned for Cherry Lane it's estimated right now at $33.3 million. We are revising those with Phase 2 since it was a little rerouted a little bit. We do have improvements at the wharf that are ongoing, and then you'll see at the bottom left is about $250,000 to our County Farm Road pump station, which will give us additional connections, and that's kind of depicted here. We'll have about 1,100 connections in 12A, which is the Joby Jackson Parkway corridor, and around 600 coming to the same pump station, County Farm Road, but it comes from the Buchanan area. To be available sewer connection with our upgrades, we anticipate it being approximately $104,000. If you take out our approved sewer connection, that leaves 98,000 sewer connections remaining. So to be adds about 8,800 connections. And then this is another graphic just showing that what area we got improvements in, and we'll have a few more connections. I think I'll note here, the Joby Jackson area really is being built out now. The only area that is, I guess, remaining to develop is kind of on that western side of I-24 where Buc-ee's is going, where we just relocated Butler Drive. Okay. Our 2024 versus 2025 2B funding, again, it's $50 million. Those upgrades are kind of ongoing and being planned. The only ones under construction right now are the 16.4, and there hasn't been a whole lot spent between the last for 2025. Current approved and available sewer connections and future connections. You can see in the dark green at the far right for this year, there's 87,920 total connected and approved. Available as is connections without improvements to the system is 98,000, and our added 2B connections, which have been approved by planning, is right at 5,800 connections. With that $50 million in improvements, that is about $5,600, $5,700 per connection. We'll review apartment growth and approvals and planned approvals. As you can see, over the years, our growth, obviously, in the number of connections has increased. There's a few years that have decreased on the non-apartment approvals, but overall, they have increased. As far as our non-apartment connections, we have around 55,000. Apartment connections, now these are not like each apartment complex, but each apartment unit within those complexes. So we have around 26,000 apartment units, and then non-apartment approvals by planning are around 4,200, and apartments approved around 1,500. Total approved sewer connections, like I said, is around 5,800. About 60% of those is in our, I guess, northwest and southwest area of town. I thought that was kind of interesting to point out. And then our takeaways from the report, go ahead and put all these up here. The Cherry Lane corridor, like I said, will entail 3 new sewer pump stations between Broad Street and Memorial Boulevard. We will begin looking at the section between Broad and I-24, which you all have recently seen presented to you as far as land uses and a rough route. Wet weather capacity upgrades of the WRF are critical to handle these proposed pump station upgrades feeding to the WRF. The County Farm Road pump station, as I said, is slated for upgrades. Those are under design this year. Hope to be bidding it out this summer with a construction of late fall and into 2027. Staff is continuing to work with TDEC to expand the WRF's NPDES permit and our sewer hotspots, and I'll show you these on the map as well here in just a minute. Memorial Boulevard, north of Sportscom. We have a little area along East Main Street, east of Middle Tennessee Boulevard. There's an area in Cason Lane, northeast end of Cason Lane at Highway 96. South Church Street around the Joby Jackson area. And as you saw previously, Basin 12A and 14 upstream of the County Farm Road pump station. And I'll run through these hot spots real quick just so you can see them, and then we'll open it up for questions. Basin 13, we're all good. This is one of the hot spots that I mentioned along Memorial, the large area with the red boundary. That is in Basin 8. We are still studying the VA pump station, trying to figure out how we will regain capacity there. It may end up that there's not any cheap alternatives and may end up waiting until our Cherry Lane corridor is built and those 3 pump stations to take capacity off of the VA station, which serves this area. Lower area is East Main Street, east of Middle Tennessee Boulevard. And let's see. The top right here is the Cason Lane area. And also kind of middle of the page and circled in red is South Church Street area, Jackson Parkway. And these basins here are all good. And then I will open it up for questions, if you have any.
Does the capacity that's going to happen from the county farm improvements, does that relieve some of the pressure on those Joby Jackson? Because it seems like that's the lowest potential connections system. Is that?
We feel like that the expansion of the station will handle the connections there at Joby.
Figures that 1,132 and 598, does that incorporate the improvements, or are the improvements going to add to that?
That is the improvements.
Okay.
That's how many connections those improvements we anticipate will give us.
Okay.
Yes.
Any questions for Ms. Smith? All right, we'll move to, thank you, Valerie.
Thank you.
We'll move to the annual report for 2025. Mr. Gore.
Mayor, council, thank you. Just wanted to go through kind of we did this last February's workshop, and staff went back and compiled the trends and key insights for 2025 and wanted to kind of bring those back to your attention. I'm not going to go through all 73 slides, that are in the report, but I just wanted to hit some highlights. This was kind of your on-motion physical impact throughout the year. You can see in January, the Veterans Park, there was some Cherry Lane Wetland Credit Bank for $3 million, over to the Med Center Parkway widening around 6.4, and the Memorial widening allocation for TDOT around 3.9, and then purchase of the fire trucks in December. So a total of $78.3 million. That doesn't include the on-motion physical impact for water resources or other funding sources from federal and state grants. Land use matters, real quick. You can see that there's about 869 acres in the county that were annexed. The large majority of that, I'm going to say most of that, was the Middle Point landfill, the light industrial, 827 acres, but this gives you kind of what was originally zoned in 2025 and what the revised zoning, and you can see around 1,413 acres were either annexed or rezoned in the city. Building trend activities, single-family units stayed pretty level. New commercials were up. Apartments came in just over 500, I think. Again, these are legacy apartments that you all have approved in the past that are just now getting constructed. And we had a decline on some of the all other expansions. Public infrastructure, we had about $18.5 million of road construction going on here. That was the Burnt Knob intersection, the adaptive signal technology that's on Rutherford, the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard sidewalks, and the medical center phase 2. So about $18.5 million on that. MPD has provided us up with the updated violent crime heat map from their real-time crime center. At some point, we may be looking at how that looks trending from year to year, but this is what we saw from 2025, or January 1 through December 31 of 2025. They also created the new host unit. This is the homeless outreach support team. Shows kind of, they had 1,806 unsheltered individual total contacts, and you can see how those are broken out. And again, we had that downtown meeting with all the property owners that basically encouraged them to call the host unit, that they are there to help with critical care events that are dealing with the unsheltered, and they're not there just for enforcement actions. Again, this is kind of crash data. Shows that we had 5,753 crashes. That's down 2.1 from the previous year, and you can see that was down from 2023. So a good trend on that. On the fire department, we had a total call volume of 23,893 for 2025. That was up 3.26% from 2024 and about 9.75% increase from 2023. Year-end employee totals, you can see full-time, blue, part-time, orange. We're up to 1,641. Our turnover rate is as low as it's been since 2020. We're at 8.32% employee turnover rate versus just 9% 2020. So you can see that's in a good, that's directly impacted by our increase in pay and keeping and retaining our public safety employees.
That's a great number.
Yeah.
Did we lose anyone when Randolph got near the microwave a couple of weeks ago at City Hall?
To be determined. We're still maybe somewhere on the fence. If it happens again, we're definitely losing.
We are preparing a STARS award for Raymond for that.
This is also from HR, our workers' comp incurred loss amount. We were just around $588,000, which is down substantially from last year in 2023. Training development, this is something that's very encouraging. We can see that we have a 70.5% rate increase in training engagement from the previous year. So I think that's very encouraging to see that our we also have a similar safety training development dashboard. I didn't bring that up, but it's in the report. It shows also a good trend and increase. Website, social media, podcast trends. Won't go through those numbers, but just show that we're getting more popular with views. Airport, you can see that there is an increase in airport operations. That's the 96,840 for 2024-25, and you can see that MTSU's operations are declining. Street repairs, you can see they spent a lot of time, 686 potholes repaired, drainage repairs, the curb inlet repairs, asphalt street, and sidewalk repairs. At some point, we'll get these maybe trended out to see how we're doing on a year-to-year basis, but they spend a significant amount of time repairing streets. Solid waste, we're at 55,240 home services. That, I believe that's probably going to be just 96-gallon carts. Some of those homes served may have more than one cart. And we collected just over 47,500 tons of municipal solid waste. Parks, you can see performance-wise, the gray area shows budget and blue actual expenses, so we're staying below budgeted expenses, and we're seeing a little revenues are above projected revenues, but you can kind of see the expense to revenue ratio there. And taken from Aaron's half-year budget report, I just did a year-to-date comparison. We're showing a 3% increase in property tax from FY25. This is through December, or I guess, yeah, through December, 4%. Local sales tax lags a couple of months, so it's just through October, but a 4% increase. And then also state sales tax, a 4% increase from FY25. Overall, our charges for service were up 24%. That is due to the fact that we increased service fees at Parks, Rec, Golf, and Solid Waste. The expenses, salaries and benefits, we're showing 11% increase through December. Again, this has to do with the fact that we are retaining folks. We did have some substantial pay increases over the past couple of years, and our payroll slippage is down to 2.2%, which I don't know if we've ever quite had it that low. Aaron is agreeing that that's a very, that really does dovetail with our retention. Also, the debt service rate, we're down about 7.5% decrease from FY25 through debt service, and that was just some roll-off debt from last year, correct? Okay, and that's really it, high-level view, and really appreciate staff going through this. As we do this year to year to year, I'm just expecting us to get better, and it really does give us a good cadence and a good flow of how things are increasing, and again, it will trend into more of a strategic planning as we see how growth is occurring and how well we're efficiently or effectively delivering services.
Any questions for Mr. Gore? Great information there.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to item 17. This is the fiscal year 26 mid-year budget review.
I wasn't planning on doing a presentation since Mr. Gore presented some key details. It follows the same pattern as previous years. We're seeing revenues and expenses coming in around budget for the most part. No big surprises have shown up there either. And if y'all have any questions about the dashboard, I'm also.
I didn't want to skip the dashboard.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Any questions for Aaron? All right. Let's move to, it's already budget calendar time.
It is, yep. I just want to get this in front of y'all just so you could see the key dates. It gets us through the budget approval. You know, we're looking at doing the budget special presentation, the 4 o'clock meeting, probably May 21st. That'll be the Thursday before Memorial Day. We would like to have the public hearing and first reading that night if possible, and then second reading either the first or second week of June so that we can have that wrapped up and plenty of time to get everything processed over for the new fiscal year. But if any of those dates don't work for you, please let me know and we can adjust the calendars accordingly.
I think the good thing is maybe just send calendar invites to everyone, and that way we can go ahead and put that placeholder on our calendars, knowing that public hearing will be that night as well.
Sure, we will.
All right, we have no board and commission appointments. We have a few beer permits.
Yes, we have a regular beer permit for a new restaurant located at 4310 Veterans Parkway, Suite A, and a special event permit for the Discovery Center on March 7th at 502 Southeast Broad Street. Both applicants have met our requirements, and we recommend for approval pending any final building and codes inspections.
Any questions?
Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Harris. Aye. Vice Mayor Shacklet. Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Any statements to be paid?
No, sir.
Any other business? Darren, before we get to yours, if the council's okay, we'll do a quick 5-minute recess to get the room set up so we can have our applicant come and sit. But is there any other business for the council? Any other business for staff? I have one thing that maybe, I don't know if Greg and Ben are here. Ben, we had a meeting at MTSU yesterday, and it was about the blue build and all the things that are happening around campus. And one of the things that we talked about, looking at the land that is around campus. So, for example, if you go down Middle Tennessee Boulevard, the majority of that land is owned by MTSU. Down Greenland, you've got a lot of those businesses that have closed, textbook brokers, the borough. There's a soda shop that just opened up in the old SunTrust Bank that sat vacant for years. Going all the way down Greenland, taking a right on Rutherford Boulevard, then coming back down East Main Street. What we really wanted to talk about with the planning team is how that we could look at some kind of university overlay that would direct development. The discussion went around, how does the city, where the old Quicksick, there was a convenience center and a liquor store that was built there, and how do we direct some of that development? And our conversation was that, look, if it's zoned already, there's not much that we can do with that. So that led into the question that maybe looking at the growth of the university, what an overlay would look like to be able to help the university and things that were built around the city. So I don't know what the process is to start that discussion, but I told MTSU that we would bring that to the council.
We'd be happy to meet with MTSU. We meet with them at least quarterly, so we can meet with their planning department, and we can start looking at what an overlay would look like, and then maybe get some more ideas from council on what, is it granting relief, granting certain types of exceptions, or is it just getting a direction? But we can sort all that out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. If everyone's okay, we're going to take a 5-minute recess. We'll get everything set up, and then we will start back with our interview process.
said, there's no way.
That's cool.
All right, we're going to call the meeting back to order, and Mr. Gore,
Yes, sir.
you ready?
Yes, sir.
That's okay.
Talking tonight about our county commission. Yes. Did you want me up here, or do you want me back here?
Because I think you're under city attorney recruitment and interview recommendation.
Yeah, oh, I didn't bring my memo to recite it, but basically, you all, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, I defined a multi-phase process and how we would go about recruiting the next city attorney. So we did, that first leg was a 2-week advertisement online. We did get that advertised right after that Thursday meeting. We closed the online portal last Friday. We had 2 applicants. I believe you guys received those applications. We went in and looked at applicant 1, really did not meet the core requirement of the municipal attorney experience requirement. Applicant 2, Mr. Peach, greatly exceeded the core requirement of the municipal experience. So based on that information, we kind of did a little reroute. Some of those processes were no longer necessary with just the 2 applicants. It was my recommendation, along with the mayor, that the applicant 1 not be interviewed and that we proceed into an interview with applicant 2, Mr. Peach. So we've kind of bypassed a couple of the original steps we thought we would go through, and we've kind of gone to a fast pass here to interviewing Mr. Peach. And so that's what we set up today under other business.
And I want to make sure that anyone watching and anyone here in the audience, this is not for decision-making today. It's for an interview process. Everything that we do is open and transparent, that we can ask questions. And then the next step would be if council is okay with the interview, then we would let Mr. Gore know after the meeting individually if we're okay with starting preparing a contract. So that goes to the next phase, that the council then would have to vote on a contract with the city attorney.
Correct.
Did I get that right?
Yes.
And the contract is pretty standard. It's the exact same contract that Adam has had with, I would assume, with a few adjustments.
Right.
So
correct.
Okay, with that being said, we'll go ahead and Mr. Peach, we'll let you sort of give some opening remarks, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience, and then council, any questions that you have. Mr. Peach.
Yes, well, I'm Jeff Peach. I've met most of you at some time or other, whether it's just through the town of Smyrna. I'm currently the town attorney for the town of Smyrna. I've been at Smyrna for 30 years. Come May will be 30 years. Just a little history chronologically. I grew up in Columbia, and just as so many of us have, I came to MTSU and loved Rutherford County, Murfreesboro, and didn't want to go home after I got here. And so went to school. In 1992, I was hired by Sheriff Jones, working for the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office. In 1996, I transferred to the town of Smyrna, working for the police department, worked as a supervisor in patrol, and then worked as a detective for about 10 years. I was able to go to law school while I was a detective. And then in 2008, received my limited license under the current city attorney at that time. And I kind of had to pull double duty of on-call detective and the staff attorney there for about a year, which was never recommended to do that again. But that worked out. Eventually, I stayed as staff attorney. Unfortunately, our city attorney passed away, and for the remaining about 4 to 5 years, we had outside counsel as the city attorney. I was the only in-house counsel as the staff attorney. Then 2013, the council appointed me as the town attorney for the town of Smyrna. I have a wife and 4 adult children, adult in age, that is. And so we have 5 grandchildren. And then probably the most important, outside of my wife, one of the most important things in my life is my dog Jax. In case you ever see him on Facebook, you'll realize that I'm a little obsessed with my dog.
All right, council members?
This is no personal thing to you at all.
Sure.
No comment, but I just found it really interesting that we just got 2 applicants. And if we were supposed to have done a nationwide search and just 2, I just want, and I'm very impressed with you. Let me say that. I'm very impressed.
No offense.
Nothing against you. Even if I was sitting up there, I would be wondering, wow, nobody else in the United States applied but me. But I just found that so interesting that, were the applicants, did we scare them away when we
Well, we
did the
didn't.
criteria?
Well, we didn't do a national search.
Okay.
We did send the opening to, I can't remember, I'd have to talk to Adam, the Tennessee Municipal City Attorneys Association. We wanted to keep it, I think, pretty relegated to kind of the state of Tennessee or local, and when I say local, regional as far as the state of Tennessee. So we did not go out and do an exhaustive.
I think we talked about at the council meeting that we wanted to keep it more of a regional type deal,
Right.
someone that knew Tennessee law that was.
And not incur that expense, right?
Seems like we have the cream of the crop, but I wish my election was like yours. Nobody against me,
Thank you, Ms. Calhoun.
I've got a question, Jeff. How many staff are at Smyrna in Attorney's office?
So in the legal office, so it's changed over time, but currently I have an assistant attorney, a paralegal, also run the risk management department, and then there's a shared admin assistant.
What would you say is the biggest challenge to being a city attorney?
Over time, a lot of it is failed and learn, as you do with anything, but is to remember what your role is. And it's easy to become familial with your counsel and with other folks that you work with, but you must remember what your rules of professional judgment should be. And you're not there to tell folks what they want. You're there to tell them what they need. And so, obviously there's times that sometimes there's hot political issues or even internal issues, and you, just as Darren must, as the town manager, as city manager, or as the directors must, you have to be ready to make those tough decisions that you have to make, and also maybe sometimes deliver bad news that you don't want to deliver. I will mention, I did forget to mention this, I did serve from a supervisory role. I served 7 months as we call it town manager there, as city manager for Smyrna in 2024. And so we have around 500 employees, so I manage that along with our budget and allocations. And luckily, nothing ran off the tracks, and I believe that was a success. And I was glad to do that. I was also glad to go back to being city attorney again full-time, but I did cover both of those roles for 7 months.
With the different things that you're going to have to handle if selected, I know you should be, you feel like you're strong in Tennessee law.
Yes, Councilman.
Where else would you find a strength you have other than Tennessee law?
Well, I am approved a lot of our cases sometimes, as your folks will attest, when you're dealing with civil rights violations or those types of issues, you're normally going to be in the federal court. So we're in the federal court almost as much as we are in the state courts. I'm also approved to appear before the Supreme Court of the United States. And so, we all have strengths and weaknesses, but as far as jurisdictional, I've been to those levels, Court of Appeals there in Cincinnati. We've had several cases there as well.
How do you define the city attorney's role in relation to mayor, city council, city manager, and how do you maintain professional independence when you're advising all three or serving all three?
Sure, and it's always very important. I feel like I'm getting away from that. It's always very important to understand that I have wherever I'm at, just like at Smyrna, I have one client. That's the entity itself. That is the city government. And then you are the board of directors of that entity. And so you're all agents of that. And so, you're always going to be dealing with agents of the entity, but keeping in mind that my purpose as the city attorney is to do what's best for the entity itself, and not as a personal attorney, or to lean more towards something that's not for the benefit of the city in general.
Has Smyrna, go ahead. Anybody?
You sure? Yeah. So Jeff, give us a little overview, if you decide to take this job, about your leadership skills.
Sure.
What would you bring to the table?
Well, and some of that is tried and true, or failed and then tried again. But, one thing that really matters in anything that we do is communication is number one. And so whether that's with your staff of giving clear objectives and expectations, but also as a resource. And I like to have a weekly meeting with my staff, so that it's sort of like sitting at the kitchen table, so that you know what's going on with you, what do you need, what can I do to help you make your job better or easier? Because what I've learned is that a satisfied employee is a lot more efficient. And so if I can figure out, each person is different, but if you can figure out what motivates each person, and also make them feel like they are growing professionally and not stuck, then they'll do a better job for you. And you also have some succession planning there, so that they can learn all avenues of the city and not just harbored in one area they may be really good at, but it's better for them to learn a little bit about each, so that they can cover if that person leaves.
Did Smyrna ever have y'all hired outside attorneys to deal with particular issues?
Yes. There's certain issues. A lot of the state court items we do not, but specifically with some civil rights issues, it's more of, obviously we're involved, but with certain types of, and maybe like with the landfill, those types of issues that are where you would not want to go to your podiatrist for an eye problem. And so because some of those folks have the expertise and they know what they're doing, but that doesn't mean it needs to be abused either. But just for certain types of cases, you're going to want to have that expertise in that field, that trial attorney that has tried many of those before, at least sitting with you, if nothing else.
I think that kind of thing has happened here, where we need to manage.
Sure.
Here's the department we need to manage, but another issue, because it's so special, has special circumstances.
Sure.
So the ability to manage both those
That's
relationships.
right. And you're weighing it all the time, because litigation can become very burdensome. And so if you have this attorney assigned to, this is their daily task, and if this litigation becomes overburdensome, you're going to have to remove them or have someone else fill in their spot. And so it's just a balancing act, and using common sense of, look, these are the things we should be handling. I think it's great for attorneys to get into the courtroom every now and then, just because you don't lose that skill. And it is a little bit like riding a bicycle, but the bicycle changes, and so it's good to get in there and know the judges, know the other attorneys, and kind of just be up to date on some of your rules of civil procedure.
Two questions. They really go together. What expectations do you set for responsiveness and timeliness, not just for you but your team? In piggybacking on that, how do you, or how would you utilize your deputy in that process?
Sure. So, span of control. I think most of you are familiar with that. So you want to have a good span of control. And so obviously here at the city, and I know Miss Baker very well, worked with her on many things, is you have that institutional knowledge that is there and has worked with the other attorneys and the staff, the paralegals, and knows this is what the city has done in the past, which doesn't mean you always have to do it in the future, but at least you know what's going on that way. And someone like me that's coming in from the outside, that is a valuable resource. And so that you have a bit of a pyramid going down, as you should with management, so that the span of control is not out of hand. I am by no means authority hungry or power hungry. I will take all the help that I can get, and so that I can focus on the issues that I need to focus on and being responsive to the city council. And learn each of you to know what your needs are and the best way that you like to be communicated with, as well as our directors, to ensure that they're receiving timely what they need. And so I sort of have an open door, especially with the directors, that, if there's an issue, let me know. What can we do better for you? And work from there. And so we all have to work together. And the public notices that if we don't.
What's the population of Smyrna, the city?
It is now, I think the last was around 68,000. They may be guessing a little bit higher than that. And so it's grown significantly since I've been there.
You're going to be moving from 60-something thousand population. You're going to be adding about 100,000 more people by moving down the street.
Yes, ma'am.
Being the 14th fastest growing city, what do you see as a challenge or two that you're going to have?
Sure. I think for all of us in Rutherford County and those surrounding Davidson County, growth is our biggest issue and everything that stems from that. Glad to see that the police department here has the host officer, so dealing with homelessness issues, everyone that needs to deal with that. We have obviously planning and zoning issues are a large portion of what a city attorney deals with, and constantly, as you well know, the legislature changes the board on that for us as far as what you're able to do. There's some interesting things, and I keep up with state legislation January through May. If you come in my office, you're probably going to see that it's on, because I try to keep up with what's happening at the legislature, because it affects us, and so that we can reach out to folks that speak on behalf of the cities to ensure that we speak on those things. But really, planning and zoning, obviously employees, HR is always a constant, wouldn't say issue, but something you have to pay attention to, because you have so many employees. There are going to be issues that just arise just out of human nature. And so as the city continues to grow, you want to keep those services at the same level, if not higher. And so you've got to work a little double time, make sure that you've got staff lined up to do that.
Can you speak to a time that maybe, I think the difference between Murfreesboro is almost the same question as Madeline asked. The volume, the substance may be the same, but the volume is probably going to be more.
Correct.
So can you speak to a time in your present position that you learned something and it taught you a lesson, or you grew professionally or personally in the midst of that circumstance, and something that would benefit you in this position?
There's been plenty of awkward times, I guess, that I've had to deal with things. As far as a lesson, I think I try to learn something every day. But we've had some significant things over the years. One was a significant charter change that would personally affect friends, colleagues, and also would, on one end, and it could also benefit the citizens on another. And so, one thing I learned was to ensure I really didn't have a problem, but was navigating of staying within your role, not inserting your personal opinion, because that is extremely dangerous when a city attorney starts giving their personal opinion as a matter of law. They can have their opinions, but you shouldn't be using that as, this is how I'm going to characterize the law because it fits the narrative that I want. And so that is one thing that I was glad that I felt that we did well as the attorney's office through that hot topic period. And then obviously over time you have maybe leadership, and I don't mean counsel, but direct leadership that maybe has some behaviors they shouldn't have had or done something that they shouldn't have done, and you've worked with them for, a long time, 20 years, 30 years. And so learning that, you still have to maintain that professional role as a city attorney, and whether you're conducting an investigation or you're providing the counsel advice on maybe not the easiest thing to do, but what needs to be done. And so I think I've learned, at least I saw that in advance, that I knew how I should act, but I would just say following my gut and knowing this is the right thing to do, and don't let your personal beliefs get in the way.
Is there a secret method to how you get 7 opinions and help them move forward with your opinion? Because you want to be objective in adding advice, but there's 7 opinions that you have to deal with. I just wondered if you've had some experience.
Sure.
with that.
Well, hopefully it should be clear as far as what the recommendation from the city attorney is. And you don't always have to follow it, obviously, but I do want you to be clear. This is what Jeff is saying, and this is what he's advising us to do, and to not waffle on that, to say this is it. Always be ready to take in new information, and that could change, but you need solid advice of what do you think? Then I can tell you this is what I think. Then you choose if you want to go another route.
I had to write these next couple of questions down because in asking it to myself, it didn't make sense. So if it doesn't make sense to you, let me know.
We'll work through it.
What has your experience been in working in city government, municipal law, and city liability?
Sure. So as I did speak, the risk management department is under the city attorney in Smyrna. So I work hand in hand with the liability on that. Obviously, in my belief, city attorneys are there to prevent lawsuits from happening in the first place, to the extent that we are able to. But to make conditions more likely than not that if you do receive one, that you're able to defend it successfully, or you have policies in place that address that.
Okay.
You might have to remind me on that other part.
The city government, municipal law, and the city liability.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, with city liability, we have some protections under the Government Tort Liability Act. Are you asking what is the best mechanism for insurance?
No,
or
just your experience in working.
Oh, yes. Well, that's 50%
Like you have
50% of about what I do is responding to litigation or threats of litigation. And so, you have to weigh each one on their own factors. If there's something that we did and we messed up, then we need to look at that and get out unscathed as much as we can. If it's something that we believe that we're right and it's practical, especially when you're dealing in 1983 actions, is, you want to make sure that your police know that they're being backed up if you believe that they did the right thing. And so, I don't believe in just stroking a check just because someone has made a demand if we don't believe that we did anything wrong.
And let's see, I wrote this one down. What has been your experience where you've had to handle criticism, whether it was public criticism or private criticism of your legal advice? How did you handle the criticism, whether it was public or private, when you are giving your legal advice? In other words, I'm talking about how well do you handle criticism?
I handle criticism well. They used to, I wouldn't say make fun of me. I guess they would say make fun of me. I would smile like a possum whenever I was still getting in trouble. But luckily, I haven't had my legal advice criticized. Now, maybe some of other issues, go along the way of just as any employer might do. And, I am not resistive. I believe as a leader, you've also got to be a servant. And so you take that, you learn from it, and you go forward. And so, I don't believe in being obstinate at all. That doesn't help anyone. And you need to do what your employers ask of you.
And I think this would be my last question that's come to my mind. Can you maybe describe a time where, how would you handle a publicized, a highly publicized legal situation with the city, with the public?
Generally, depending on the type of case, generally, I don't believe that the city attorney should make a lot of comments about litigation if it's going on. Now, obviously, there could be other issues, like you're talking about a brand new ordinance, then it may be proper there. Of course, you have an excellent media team here, and PIO, as well as the city manager, is working in conjunction so that everyone is on the same page and knows that you're sending out a unified message. I think that is the main issue. If it's litigation, I'm not a big fan of speaking of it from the city attorney. Now, it's one thing for counsel, for you two, I think is fine. But I try to be careful of that so that the judges don't get upset and I don't violate any rules.
Yeah, my questions mainly were coming from, and you've answered them very well. I was trying to hit the various parts of government in the city, and your experience in city government.
Yes, ma'am.
Where my questions are coming from. So you've answered those good. I was just trying to break it down.
Sure.
Understanding them, but yeah, you have the experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have two final questions. And some of this is, you've talked about relationships, and, I believe people work with people better if they like the person they're working with.
Sure.
How do you work with a city manager when legal risk and maybe operational priorities differ? Maybe the city manager and the city attorney are not seeing eye to eye on an issue.
Sure. So the first thing that I would do is try to correct that directly with the city manager. And so, because you want to work well together. And so I would prefer to work that out with him or her, depending, between us. But you have to remember that what your role is, because the city attorney doesn't work for the city manager. The city attorney works for the city council as the board of directors. And so, keeping that role and I think mutual respect between city manager and city attorney is what makes the system work. And that's the reason it is designed that way, that both positions are appointed by the legislative body, is so that each can act independent and provide the best information possible.
All right, and lastly, why are you the right fit for Murfreesboro?
Because I believe I would serve you well. I've lived in Rutherford County, as I said, since 1992, so I love Rutherford County. In Murfreesboro, I've lived in Murfreesboro for about 15 years, went to school here. I had a lot of love and affinity for the city of Murfreesboro. It is a professional advancement for me because it's still the same job, it's just on a larger scope, right? We have utilities, we have EMS, or I'm not EMS, but first responders, much of the same thing, parks, all this. It's just on a larger scale. And everyone knows that Murfreesboro is sort of the crown jewel of Middle Tennessee outside of Nashville. And so you're all well known for being forward thinking, and a lot of programs that you have, just like I mentioned, the HOST program is, on the front lines. And so I would like to be a part of that.
I got one more.
Yes, sir.
And you don't have to answer this, but it'd be good if you did.
I will.
So if selected, and you love Murfreesboro, and you think Murfreesboro is a great place to be, would you move to Murfreesboro?
I would say that that's dependent upon, right now, I have about a 2% interest rate. So that would be a factor, but there's nothing that keeps me not wanting to. But just to be honest with you, it's a financial decision at the moment. I live 15 miles from City Hall's door, so 15 miles. So I'm not too far away, and I will drive any time in the middle of the night if you need me to, Councilman Wade.
You know, Kurt, it's a great question. I appreciate you saying it that way, because a lot of people, I think, are in the same boat right now, that they would love to relocate, but going from a 2% mortgage to a 7% mortgage is I appreciate you answering it that way.
We recently prepared, and I forgot what it was called, the relationship document that we had between our city manager and our city attorney. Have you had a chance to look over that?
I sure have, Councilman Checklett, and so did not take any issues with that. That's really how we have done business in Smyrna, so it would not be unusual to me to operate that way.
What is, here I go again, something hit me. Maybe I shouldn't use the word fear, but what is the greatest fear or challenge you think that will come with being the attorney for the city of Murfreesboro?
The greatest fear or challenge? Mm-hmm. Well, the Lord tells me not to fear, so we'll take challenge.
Okay.
I think the challenge is, as I said, I've been in Smyrna worked for Smyrna for 30 years. And so I have to learn a brand new group of people. I have to learn new city council and understand what your likes and dislikes are, what your needs are. And you have a lot of employees. And so getting to know everyone and understanding how your wheel works here in Murfreesboro. Even though I'll find it, and there's a great support team with Kelly and the rest of the attorneys and Mr. Ives, who I've known for many, many years, is just an endless resource that will benefit me. But obviously, it's not so much an apprehension, it's just being new. So you know that that's going to be a little bit uncomfortable until you get comfortable.
Any other questions, Council? I think, Mr. Peach, thank you for your honest answers. I think as we go through the process, it's always tough to replace someone who's doing a good job. So I know we're all going to miss Adam. I have a positive and a negative. I think the positive, and I'm more concerned with, is finding how we can better support our legal team that's currently here, and making sure that they're given the resources that they need. Is you're only as good as the team that you're working with.
That's right.
And so, and then I think the negative is we're taking an attorney from our friends next door. Although I think we've had the conversations to keep, Smyrna updated. I think Mr. Gore recently talked with the city manager at Smyrna, knowing that we were interviewing Mr. Peach, because the last thing that we want to do is do something that will harm the residents of our next door neighbors. And so I do think if Mr. Peach is selected, there will be a transition process that we want to be accommodating to Smyrna. Luckily, we're in good hands with the team that we currently have, but there may be some transition to work forward as the council makes this decision. The biggest fear that I've had has been from Mayor Reed, because Mayor Reed speaks very highly of Mr. Peach, and I know as we talk about a challenge, leaving your friends for 30 years that's tough. So I'm for moving forward with. We can't vote today, but I'll tell you I'm okay with moving forward with contract discussions on the next step. I don't think we could find a better person.
After we interview the rest of the candidates.
We don't have any other.
I just kidding.
Oh, yeah. Or we can make a motion for Madeline to be our new city attorney.
Oh, boy.
Have to run for office.
Any other discussion? Okay. If there's any,
Do you want us to individually contact?
yeah, or, I mean, I think Mr. Gore will see, if anybody has an issue, please let him know. But I don't know right now. That will be up to Mr. Gore and his team to talk about sort of the timing and what this looks like over the next, how long, you know.
Right. Just give a little insight in the conversation I had with Mr. Santucci. We are not meeting next Thursday, I'm sorry, the 19th or the 26th. Our next council meeting will be March 5th. That's going to be an evening meeting. If contract negotiations, employment agreement terms are met in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I expect we could have something on that March 5th council agenda for you all to approve. Smyrna did discuss their depth of bench and that they don't necessarily have someone to move directly into interim city attorney upon if we successfully engage him as an employee. So they would like to, they're going to be actively moving forward trying to recruit.
We can get what that timing would be with them and sort of how that fits in with Mr.
Right.
Peach.
I mean, I think, it may be something, I think we've discussed mid-April is a potential.
Any questions? Mr. Peach, thank you for coming. We appreciate your answers and just the honest and straightforwardness that you've given all the council members, so we really appreciate that.
Thank each of you for giving me the opportunity at least to come before you.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no other business, we'll stand adjourned.